Hello out there, all you wonderful people. This is Andre, the Game Idea Guy. Thank you once again for lending me your time and your ear listening into another Gamer Stunts discussion. And I'm going to get into this one pretty quickly because it's for a franchise that I really, really would like to see come back. And that was that company called Vitei was actually trying to pitch an ultra realistic F-Zero game to Nintendo. And this company's worked with Nintendo before. Actually, the developer has worked on games for Nintendo prior to having gone off and made his own company. So the demo that they were running was running F-Zero for one, obviously, for PC and Switch, which was probably not a good idea. Nintendo doesn't want to put their games on other platforms, for one. That was probably the thing that rubbed them the wrong way. Even though I look at the article and I see what other people see, and they say that Nintendo's a bit iffy about stepping into their older IPs, which is clearly not true, seeing as they have several games that are new coming out for older IP within this year. So, I don't think that that's the case. I don't think that the case was that they wouldn't want to touch older IP. I think the problem was that the way they presented it probably showed that the game would be running on Switch and PC. And Nintendo was like, yeah, no, we don't want to do that. So they came up with BS excuses. They came up with politically correct excuses. Oh, your team's not big enough. Then they say, well, if we had funding, we could have a bigger team. But they don't want to put you... I mean, honestly, they don't want to give out money willy-nilly. To be first of all, because that's how they've retained so much wealth as a company. Secondly, the way they propose the game, like having realistic physics for an F-Zero game, I don't think that that's the best idea because of the fact that the way the game plays, the high velocity, the way everything can just take a turn for the worse on the quick turn, but you still have a fighting chance to come back. The way they presented it might not have worked so well for that. It's just taking into consideration you're playing an F-Zero game and you are in first place. And the way they presented the cars having the jets underneath them, one of the jets goes out while you're in first place. How do you recover from that to maintain your positioning? That means that you have to have pit stops. Not just moving along a power strip to rebuild your car's energy. You have to actually do pit stops. I don't think that would work for F-Zero, to be personal, because you have to consider how that would work. If certain things get broken on your car and you have to stop to have a pit stop to have them fixed, you're ultimately going to lose a lot of races. This isn't NASCAR. You're not doing 30, 40, and 50 laps in these races. It sounds fun when you say it at first, but when you think about the things that come behind it, the things that come with it, it sounds like it would be more of a hindrance. It's not the same thing as having something with a bunch of different obstacles and the geometry of the game works a particular way, or the physics of the game work a particular way. At this point, you're taking it down to the level where it affects the player, and there may not be something that can be fixable within that rule set. So I think that that's ultimately the big problem, whereas people probably aren't thinking about that. Like if just me in particular, if I was in Nintendo's position and I heard someone say, well, we want to have somebody make this game that has these whacked out physics, ultra realistic, and like a jet goes out and your car starts to slow down, and you can still hit power strips to boost your energy, but you then have to stop and do repairs on your car rather than just blazing down the track like you usually would. Because people are going to be like, well, then how do these things get fixed? And those power strips may not have enough to actually fix it. It's different from having the cars have shields, and the shields wear down over time, and you can roll over the power strip and the shields build back up. These are mechanical functions to the designs of your cars now that actually have to be considered. And yeah, somebody will say, well, you could just add all of that to the power strip. You could. I'm not going to lie, you could. I don't think it would work well. Because what if it doesn't fully fix it? Then you still have that handicap. Whereas the system that they had in place for most F-Zero games at current allows for you to maintain your speed no matter how damaged your car is. And if you're a good enough player, you can move like that. Where you're one hit from dying and you have to go through narrow pathways and turns and you actually come out on the opposite side. Something like that actually legitimately messes up your vehicle and messes with its performance would take the fun out of that. And also, I'm just going to hit and say this about Nintendolife. F-Zero GP Legend actually was a mainline F-Zero game. I don't know why they consider F-Zero GX to be the last mainline game in the series. Actually, F-Zero Climax would have been the last one, but as we all know, that was exclusive to Japan. But still, every F-Zero game is a mainline F-Zero game. There are no side story games from that series. All of them are mainline. There's been nothing that has been a side quest or whatever to the main series. They all fit within the main line. So that's just to put that out there. It's not like with Metroid and Metroid Prime, whereas Metroid Prime is a side series to Metroid. F-Zero has not had that. That said, I don't want to drag this on too much more because I think I've covered all the points I needed to. So if there's anybody that has anything that they would like to add down in the comments, feel free to do so. That's it for me. Thank you guys very much for listening in. Keep your eyes and ears out for more stuff from me. And until the next time, enjoy your games. Peace out.